Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Blind Press YouTube channel. And it's Saturday, which means it's time for Star Trek. And so far with me, I have Hammer and Irate. How are you two doing?
How are you?
I'm I'm tired, but
Yeah,
I'm good. How are you, Irate?
I'm groovy. You know,
Good.
just chilling.
So today we're moving on to Enterprise as our last series in our favorites uh, section of the Star Trek stream. And Hammer has volunteered to go first. So the episodes we're going to talk about today are The Silent Enemy from season one. And because it is supremely amazing and we didn't realize it was a three-parter, but holy shit is it good Trek. We're going to talk about the episodes Borderland, Cold Station 12, and The
Augments.
Augments.
Yeah.
And they are from season four. They're boom, 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 right back to back.
Mm.
But first, let's do Silent Enemy because this is also an important episode. Because before this episode, Enterprise had no phasers because they were sent away from space dock before they could be installed. So this episode basically is surrounding Enterprise becoming fitted with phase cannons, as they call them. And the subplot is Hoshi trying to figure out how to celebrate Reed's birthday, which is kind of funny in that uh, of itself. But Hammer, what made you pick this episode?
Well, as we've discussed in other uh, picks from other series, this was very much a Star Trek script, very much
Yeah,
an encapsulated
Mm.
Star Trek show. And this show could have been done on any of the other series. It would have worked on everything, maybe except for DS9. But even then, it could probably have been adapted.
oh yeah,
Um, One of the things I always found frustrating with Enterprise. I like the show a lot. It is my second pick over Voyager. For as much as I like Voyager, is that they made the ship weak throughout the series.
mm-hmm.
It never really stood up to anybody. And this enemy, no pun intended, is an enemy that could go up against just about everybody else. It's a very strong enemy
Yeah,
until they find a way of making the phasers stronger than they were intended to be. But this silent, we never found out who it is, but this silent enemy could have easily taken on the Vulcans or the Klingons of this era and put up a good fight, if not won outright.
right.
So they're well ahead of the Enterprise, and the Enterprise still wins. Spoiler alert.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the visual effects of being able to see the phasers go from nothing, not we don't have any, to destroying half a planet or a moon, that is, and then being used in combat. It was kind of like yeah, all right, we got some balls, all right.
Well, and wasn't there some finagling with their hull plating as well in this
That's how they
episode?
solved. Yeah, that's how they solved the problem. The phasers were overloaded the first time they used them. That's why they blew half the moon apart.
Yeah,
But they had to, when they went against the enemy, they put them back to their appropriate power, which didn't even touch the enemy.
yeah,
So they decided to overload it again. But instead of blowing up the ship this time and causing lots of power surges throughout the ship, they rerouted extra power to the whole deck plating as a way of absorbing it. Still caused some minor damage,
yeah.
but much better than it would have been if they just outright overloaded again. Um, so they found a way on the fly to solve problems, which shows the intelligence of Trip and you know that Star Trek, typical Star Trek engineering, where they perform a miracle. You know, very much in the Scotty line of
Yeah.
uh,
Well, and it's
engineering.
cool.
So
It's cool to see the Enterprise develop, right? Because
yeah,
we've grown up with the Enterprise being the Enterprise.
we don't see it develop much beyond this point, and we don't
Yeah,
really see it develop until this point. It was the
yeah,
only episode where they some. I mean, I can't tell you. We have three more what you call it to the of the series, three more years
yeah.
of the series. Do we ever see shields?
Yeah.
Why aren't we developing? You know, we're very much they get phasers and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Like, it would have been cool to see a
What the
couple of
hell?
cases of transporter psychosis, for example.
It's not like it didn't happen in this era. I mean, they
Yeah.
specifically say that this time period is when they had problems with transporter psychosis. So why didn't we see it?
That would have been a really cool episode to see Phlox have to deal with, like, come up with a solution or a cure for transporter
And
psychosis.
transporters that embed the atmosphere and the person beaming up, because that guy had sticks and leaves sticking out of him, you know.
Yeah.
So I mean, they could have. There's a lot of developments they could have done for the ship. They could have, you know, oh, we have a warp 7 core now.
Do you
Where's
think that
that at?
that would have happened had the writer that came on in season 4 been there the whole time?
Well, season 4 is the only season that really. I really like season 4. I didn't like season 3 at all because it was entirely
Oh, that
dedicated
Cindy.
dedicated to the Zindi issue,
Yeah.
and an entire. I can't imagine who was thinking that they were going to devote an entire year to that. That's just not Trek.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's serialized Trek, you know.
yeah,
Yeah, I know. I totally agree with that.
Well, and it's not just that. It's you've got you you've got this. It's this DS9 did it really well in season 7, right? You had 5 or 6 episodes that were not specifically designated as linked, but they were clearly linked, right? And so you can write good Trek in a long form way, but I agree that a whole season is a little much.
Well, I think the way the writers at Deep Space Nine did it was that they did it a thread at a time
Yeah.
to weave the tapestry, right? And that really worked well because it all built up to the final season.
yeah. See, I don't. To be honest with you, it's something that bothered me about DS9. But except for the little things of each episodes bother me, but the whole idea of writing something that lasts for 7, 6, 7, 8 episodes and stuff like that, I don't like it. I don't think many Trek people do. They're used to
Yeah,
Star Trek's original series of
right.
bottled episodes, then TNG's bottled episodes, and they're used to. That's what they want. And that's
Yeah.
that's why they were so successful, and that's why DS9 generally wasn't.
Right.
So I mean, and they did it with Voyager a couple of times with long episodes that could have gone longer. Thank God they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And then they really went forward with Enterprise,
Yeah.
and it killed them. They had to cancel the series because people said, "All right, we've had enough. You put a fourth year up, but we're done with it," and it killed the show. If they would have done bottled episodes all the way through, we would have had 7 years, just like every other Star Trek.
Yeah, probably.
Anyway, yeah, I'm definitely against that whole. I prefer Star Trek
Well,
in
it
the
was
way
a
that
trend, right? That developed.
it's lazy writing, is what it is.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like shows like 24, you know that kind of came out of that school of writing. Lost, you
Yeah.
know, just this unending story of like, when is this fucking going to end?
Lost was
Right.
terrible.
Right, and
It's like a
it's
7-hour movie.
because they can't come up with bottled episodes, so
Yeah.
they have to do this because they can't come up. What do you have to do? Come up with one idea that lasts 26 episodes, or come up with 26 ideas.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, I agree with you on that. I think that I do think that, I'm okay with, even, I'm okay with your 2-parters and stuff and whatever, but I think a full season of one story is
it's ridiculous.
lazy. Yeah.
But because it was a bottled episode, and it was very much we'll find a way to win.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like America, fuck yeah, kind of. You get that feeling at the end of the.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially because at the beginning, Archer's so like. Archer is so much different from all the other captains because he's the first, right? So he's all naive and everything. oh, everyone's gonna want to say hi to us, right? Let's say hi.
Yeah.
To Paul's like,
He comes to the realization, and a couple of episodes later, he says, "We're coming up against people that we can't put up a fight with."
yeah. Yeah, but you can definitely see it in the first few episodes of season 1 where Archer's like, "Yay, we're from Earth. Everyone wants to say hi to us, right?"
Well, you stopped in front of us.
Yeah,
Well, if you don't want to talk, we're going to head out now. It was nice speaking with you. Like,
yeah.
they didn't speak. What are you talking about? They're assholes. Give them the finger and move on.
And I love how T'Pol's like, we have protocols that we follow in this, and he's like, yeah, well, you're Vulcan and I'm human, and we're just gonna say hi. And T'Pol's like, okay.
How many times does she turn out to be right? Anyway.
Surprisingly, not very many for a Vulcan.
It was interesting that they put something in their shuttle bay that made the ship stronger. If you were the enemy, would you want to do anything to make your enemy stronger not necessarily stronger than you, but
stronger.
Just stronger in general? Would you want to do that? I can't imagine. And these people seem to be completely ignorant of phaser fire. You shoot them, they just look at you like, "Oh, you shot us. Oh, that's interesting." And away they go. I mean, no impact. I mean, even when we get later to the second pick, the augments, at least they get something out of being stunned. It doesn't stop them, but at least there's some movement. These guys just like, no, culminated energy doesn't affect us at all. It was very strange. Every time you see phaser fire, even with the Borg, a shield goes up. Something happens.
Yeah.
These guys are just like, what was that? That's a pretty red light.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Were you firing disco balls at me? Like,
crazy. But I really like this episode. If you were to say to me, just off the top of your head, what's your favorite Enterprise episode? Hands down, Silent Enemy. I like the mistake of blowing the whole idea where Archer says, "I just wanted you to take a little bit off the top."
yeah.
Yeah, that was funny as shit.
It's a genuine, like, because you could
He's
totally
pissed.
imagine. You could totally imagine a group of, like, in our future, actual future, a group of spacefaring humans trying to do something to their ship on the fly, testing it out, and going wrong, and the captain being like, "What the fuck?"
Exactly. It's exactly what he was thinking. Not what he said. Not what he's allowed to say on
Yeah,
TV.
exactly.
But it was. It's clear if you're watching this episode. That's exactly what he's thinking, and you are too, because you're like, "What happened?"
That's not how phasers are supposed to work.
My thought is they're going to shoot. I didn't know that they'd done anything. I thought what was going to happen is they're going to shoot the phasers and it wasn't going to do anything. It's like a little puff
Yeah.
of smoke.
Yeah.
He's going to say, "That's it? A little puff of smoke."
But
Just the
instead, they
opposite.
destroy half a moon.
And there's another thing about this is that the Enterprise, the ship itself, gets to play a part in the episode.
Yeah.
The ship is told what to do, and it does things, and everyone's like, "What's going on with the ship? It's not supposed to fire phasers like that," So it actually becomes integral to how that episode works. We have to be careful with time, because I like Silent Enemy so much that I could spend the next 45 minutes talking about it. It really was.
It is a good episode.
It topped a lot
especially
of
for the first
other.
season.
Yeah, it topped a lot of other series top episodes. I mean, I would watch this more than I watched half of the TNG episodes.
Right. And it was great that they never revealed the aliens.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think so? Because my question is, they ran into it once, and then in the next 4 years, they never run into them again? That seems kind of odd.
Not really though, because I like that because it shows the vastness of an how unexplored it is for us.
So do you think this was a chance encounter, or do you think that the Enterprise was in their space?
I think
because I got the feeling the second was the option, was that they were in their space.
I think it was a chance encounter that allowed the Enterprise to get stronger.
And then there was the aliens, hopping on board the ship and, scanning. Those people, we never saw those people get out of the comas that were in or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, well, Phlox talks about the fact that they
Yeah.
recover, but you never see them.
Yeah.
They're like catatonic.
Mm.
But yeah, I thought with the Enterprise getting stronger, that somewhere later on, they maybe canceled the show before they got to the point where they gave them shields. But I would have thought somewhere in the third or fourth season, especially against the Zindi, Tucker would say, "Hey, look, I got this idea. We've been using force fields inside the ship in a couple of these episodes. What if we had force fields on the outside of the ship?" And then
Right.
somewhere in the Zindi area, they get shields, and suddenly they're now in a position where they can actually fight the Zindi on a one-on-one basis and actually be strong. Maybe not offensive wise, but the defensive wise, if they don't get hurt, they can stay in the fight longer.
Exactly.
And then somewhere in the fourth season or at the end of the third or somewhere in there, after they get done with the Nazi guys, they run into these guys again.
Yeah.
And things work a different way this time, and suddenly now the Enterprise has the upper hand and tracks them down and said, "Hey, wait a minute, you come here. You went after us the first time. Remember us? Well, things are a little different this time." Right. Or that enemy ship is attacking somebody else. The Enterprise shows up to help. I mean, there's a lot of. I swear to God, I could write shows for Paramount. I swear to God, I could.
Those are all great ideas, though. Like that would be good track.
Yeah, I hate proffering my ideas to make myself sound like, that, because the writers are obviously been writing for the show for a while. I'm a fan. And there's always a fan that says, "Oh, well, maybe we could do this, and maybe we can do that." And I don't want to be that guy, but I really think we should have revisited this group, these aliens again at some point, whatever their name is.
Rage in 2448 says the guys from Silent Enemy are in Star Trek Online.
Oh, are they really?
Yeah.
I've never played Star Trek Online.
I did not know that.
I thought Star Trek Online was in the time of TNG and not Enterprise.
I don't know. That's a cool bit of information, though.
Yeah, I didn't know that. All right, that's a third of our time. We have to move on.
So
Sorry, I'm used to being a host.
So now we jump over to season 4, episode 4, I believe.
Did you notice I cut this Indy out entirely?
Yes,
right from season 1 right to season 4.
Yeah. Yep. And so this is our 3-parter that that nobody realized was a 3-parter until
Yikes.
like
Sorry.
half an hour before the show. Anyway, but it's a good trio of episodes. And they are Borderlands, Cold Station Station. What is it? Cold Station 12.
12.
That's it. And the Augments. Right. So this story is basically surrounding a guy named Dr. Sung, played by Brent Spiner. You can see where this is going here.
Jeez, why did I pick this episode, huh?
However, I do not believe it is Noonien.
It's Eric.
It is.
Is it Noonien?
It's
No,
Noonien. Yeah,
I
it is.
was right.
No, it's all right. On Borderland in the Memory Alpha. Well, it says Dr. Arik Singh. Eric Singh.
And the third, in the Augments, he says maybe augmenting humans is the wrong way to go. Maybe android life forms would be a better
So I was, because
solution.
I didn't get to that I got about halfway through the Augments before I had to send you guys the link.
Yeah, at the end he says,
Yeah, I totally missed.
Maybe artificial life form would be a better, better solution.
I'm sitting here going, this has to be Noonien Sung
It
this
is.
whole time. And
It sure is, man.
what I like about this, and we're gonna get into this.
Well, he took the Noonien from fucking Khan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this 3-parter basically
puts it together.
summarizes these. We start out in Borderlands with a Klingon bird of prey being basically attacked and all the Klingons get killed on this bird of prey by 11. What was it? 11 augments or 19 of them? Not 11. I think it was 11.
11 went on the ship.
Yeah. So the Klingons are naturally a little upset, as Klingons are wont to be.
How embarrassing to be on a ship of Klingons and have humans win
11
easily.
humans against a ship full of Klingons.
They didn't even send everybody. They just only sent part of the crew over.
Yeah.
You're not that much of a problem. We'll just send part of our crew over to take you over. And they do it easily. That's the thing, is it's easy.
Easily achieved, yeah. So we have Archer and his crew. Basically, they take Dr. Sung, who is responsible for the creation of these augments, because he stole some embryos from the eugenics wars, and that's why he's in prison on Earth. And they take him with them to find these augments and bring them home. And that is basically the entire, like, there's a bunch of stuff that happens in these episodes, but that is the goal. The goal is to get the augments. Well, first the goal is to get the augments to Earth. Then the goal becomes stop the augments at all cost. The order changes from Admiral Forrest in the second part. Basically tells Archer, "No, you go and you use all necessary force." But these three parts I really like, for many reasons, but one of them is we get to see Noonien Sung's full character, right? Because in TNG, he's this shadowy genius figure that the most anyone could say about him was he was hard to work with, right? That's all you get from him. When you see him in the Brothers episode, you can see the touch of arrogance that he has, right? But these 3 episodes show you that he was an incredibly complicated, incredibly egotistical, incredibly I wouldn't say altruistic, but I would say maybe even in his cynicism, he was still kind of naive about the things he was trying to do, I think. I don't think he fully understood what he was playing around with.
Ramifications, exactly.
And Brent Spiner did a fantastic job of illustrating that. I mean, not that Brent Spiner doesn't do a fantastic job at anything.
Well, I mean, it would have been easy to play this thing off as like fucking Hannibal Lecter, right?
Yeah.
And there was a lot of finesse that he gave to the character, which I thought was, instead of coming out as just, your pure genius villain, archetype, he rolled it into something human and did a good job at it.
Well, and
he's a great actor.
You can see the basis for the sense of family that he tries to instill in his androids in the augments.
Exactly.
Because all Sung wanted was some kids, but he didn't have the personality to keep a woman, so he had to either genetically engineer them or program them.
Maybe he was shooting blanks. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe. Poor Sung. All he wanted was to be a father. No.
Spiner didn't want to do Enterprise. They had to talk him into it. And
oh, yeah?
Yeah. He said that Data had done everything that Data needed to do because they wanted this. It wasn't supposed to be about the augments. When they originally wanted to get him in, he was going to play Data again. And he says, but I'll play Noonien Sung. And they said, well, we haven't written anything for him. And he says, I have. He had written episodes, or he had written parts along this line, and they took him and gave him to the writers, and the writers fleshed out the rest of the 3-part series. So he kind of he didn't actually have writing credit, because I guess he didn't do enough of the writing, but he came up with the original idea and some of the scenes, and the writers filled out the rest. So that's what got him to do this, or else he wasn't going to do it. So,
Well, I'm glad they did do it this way.
well,
You
it
see
just makes
Spiner's
sense.
Twitter?
Who knows Nooney and Soon better than Spiner,
Right.
right? See, so I mean, it was smarter than to do that. What was your question?
His Twitter, Brent Spiner's Twitter's
Don't follow him.
it comes it's a little odd in a cool way, right?
He is. I can't tell what his meanings are. I really can't, and I think he does that on purpose.
Yeah.
I think he cultivates a bit of mystery surrounding.
The rest of the
His
crew
opinion.
is far left.
Yeah.
They did the whole kneeling thing and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know where he fits in all that. But my brother met him. My brother goes to the cons all the time.
Nice.
Yeah.
He said he was a cool guy, that after everyone left, he was the last one there, and he stayed and went outside, had a smoke with them, and was just talking to them like a regular person.
Nice.
So anyway, there's something I want to talk about in this episode too. So once we get past everything else, there's something at the end that I want to bring up.
You, so I'm gonna just quickly grab a couple of things that stood out to me. We have in the first part we have the Orion Syndicate, which we hear a lot about in Enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
And it was basically Sung's plan to get the Enterprise, or get them to the Orions, to get himself spirited away, basically.
Right, he's going to use it to escape.
And that was, I found that a neat bit of subterfuge there in good Trekian fashion. And then we get to, I really like the weird, the very strange kind of what's the word? Dynamic between Sung and the Malik dude. Because that Malik guy is a freaking sociopath. Like,
Well, they all are. That was one of his points, is that they all are sociopaths, because he re-engineered everything.
Yeah.
He made them smarter, stronger, more violent, more sociopath, more everything.
Well, and
So of course,
there's even a scene in the in the augments where he and Malik are getting into an argument because he is changing some of the genomes of the new embryos that they've
Right.
managed to steal
to make them less violent.
to make them less violent. And
I never understood that, because Malik is all about, well, we're better. You engineered us to be better,
yeah,
but you're not allowed to engineer these guys for some reason because they don't meet my criteria of what should be engineered in or what should be engineered out. So wait a minute. You guys are engineered, but you're complaining about what he's doing with these guys, which is just more engineering. It doesn't make any sense.
yeah. Maybe he meant you're only supposed to do the exact engineering that you did for me and nothing else.
Which would have been what had already been done to them.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't make sense to me. Maybe it's because he's a psychopath that he wants to, oh, you're allowed to engineer us this far, but no further.
Yeah.
What? And, as a person, he's a human looking at the show from the outside trying to follow along. It's kind of like, dude, Malik, what the hell's wrong with you? But then you have to remember, there's a lot wrong with him.
Well, and does anyone else find it weird that there's an incestuous thing going on?
Oh, the girlfriend going after both boyfriends?
Yeah.
Having two boyfriends in the
Like,
same
they're
thing?
all raised as brother and sister. Why would you be doing that
They
shit?
call themselves brother and sister.
No,
they call
I
him father, but they
I
have to
understand
realize
they're
that
not
they're not.
genetically
Yeah.
related, but I mean,
They use the words,
weird.
but I don't think they don't see each other that way. I mean, they brothers in arms. We
I
kind
think
of
they
the same
see each
thing, you
other
know?
like a pack.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, same thing you see in the military. We met with a lot of people in the military. They say these are my brothers. They're not actual brothers, but they're my brothers. I think that's the way they mean it in the show. Because it would be kind of weird for your sister to screw your brother and then you kill him and she screws you. That's it's kind of strange, a little odd. to
It's
say
in
the
the
least.
Bible, isn't it?
It's in the well, that's true, but it's still weird.
In a couple places in the Bible.
So first of all, let me do this. If you can share my screen, and I can bring this up.
Oh, all right. Let me just make sure that
Sure.
I've got that I'm paying attention for the hammer's screen thing. There it is.
This is Persis.
Yeah.
Her name is Amy Bremell, Bremmell.
Okay.
This is the person who got me interested in in this episode, because I've watched Enterprise the entire series 5-6 times at least,
Yeah.
Right.
and this is the only person in in any of those episodes that I remembered was her, because T'Pol is supposed to be the sexy one of the show.
Meh.
Nah. This girl, and in these shots, she's blonde, but she's normally a brunette, which is my preferred thing.
Yeah.
This is only temporary actor through the entire Enterprise series. I was like, I will not forget this person, and she really hasn't done much since this show, but she's like basically my perfect woman right there. Anyway, that's what she looks like without all the black armor and all that kind of stuff on.
That's
Pretty hot.
Definitely smoking hot.
Yeah. But the thing I wanted to bring up about Enterprise, and this is only going to be a short snippet, so you're not going to get, hit by YouTube, but I saw it a lot in The Next Generation, the way that the director shoots the women in the show versus the men in the show. And you'll notice it in any episode that has Jeffries tubes in it. What they'll do is the men will come down the Jeffries tube, and the camera will show their face and follow their face as they climb down and then move out of the way. And then the next shot will be a static shot with them in the background showing the stairs, and the woman will come down. So you'll get to see her entire body before you get to her face. And then she'll move out of the way like Deanna Troi. And then the next person go down as a male. They'll go back to the face shot and follow his face coming down the ladder.
That's funny.
And they do the same thing in all the episodes. They always end up showing the body of the woman. You have to be aware of it because Star Trek does this all the time. But this is another part where they do exactly the same thing. They'll have the camera focused on a person, and then you'll find some way of showing something sexual about the character. This is only a couple seconds, so this won't get you into trouble. But where's the play button? Here's a shot right after this. They stopped talking. I turned the sound off so you didn't catch the sound, so that's going to make it even less in case this is a lot longer than I thought it was. Here it is. Here it is right here. T'Pol.
Yeah.
Right.
What are we looking at here?
Interesting pattern.
Her ass.
Yep. They did this on purpose. They could have shot that in like 5 different other ways at least.
No, you're
But
right.
they made sure that they were on Tucker's face so that when T'Pol walked in front, you had a nice shot of her ass.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm the only person who's ever noticed that about Star Trek.
I'll probably notice it
I
now.
definitely haven't.
Well, yeah, I understand that. Yeah, all you're hearing me saying is, here's that part, look at this part, look at that part. But T'Pol walks in to sit down next to Trip, and the camera is on his face. And as she walks in, she turns around and puts her ass right in the camera.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that was
it's
the thing I
focused
wanted
on her chest, right? Because she's got that V-neck in the shot before it, and then you see right to her ass.
You notice no other guys in the show have ever worn a V-neck. The most they wear is a sweatshirt.
Exactly. Yeah, but I mean, they're making up for that shit now, man, because it's all man ass. Anything that's got nudity in it's man ass.
They don't
It's
do it
like-
with Hoshi because Hoshi doesn't have a rack.
Oh, but see, but
So they
Hoshi
did
already got to fall out of a fucking access port with no shirt
top
on.
topless,
So
yeah.
that's-
Yeah, she got her. She
Can
don't care
I
about.
have a shirt, please? Oh
Nice.
my god, I'm just such a ditz.
Oh, my tits are falling out. Oh my god. I'm just,
That's pretty funny.
It is.
I don't like Hoshi that much. I really don't. I'm not a big Hoshi person.
I'm not sure why they made her so scared, because that's when she comes on. She can't even use that transporter. She can't be on another ship. She can't. She
It
just,
terrifies her to
the-
go through
the
Jeffrey.
ship makes her. Yeah, the ship makes her sick. I mean, they make her such a wimp. I mean, if you're trying to follow along with, Star Trek, Uhura was not a wimp.
Yeah.
So I don't get why they did that. But anyway,
Speaking of wimps, who else got really uncomfortable when the creator of Data puts a doctor in, or a doctor's assistant in a fucking isolation chamber and pumps
Yeah.
it full of simile blood burn? Holy shit.
yeah, dude.
yeah,
I'm sitting there going, this is the dude that makes Data? Okay.
I guess they had to kill him, but that made me uncomfortable.
That was
Save
that
him at the
was
last moment, kind of
dark as hell,
deal.
man.
Yeah, that was too much.
Like there have been other kind of similar scenes, like in Voyager's Equinox, where Janeway's got Ensign Lessing, I believe his name is, from the Equinox in the brig, and she lets down the force fields to let the aliens at him to get him to talk to tell him where Ransom is. But this was just something extra.
I guess
Ooh.
because of the death, it actually did kill the assistant, where
Yeah.
those other beings from another spatial dimension just came in and beat the shit out of you before.
Well, and Chakotay stopped the process before any real, because they would have killed that ensign.
Oh, yeah.
Had Chakotay not restored the force fields. But
Yeah,
I mean, anybody who's watched any Star Trek for any amount of time knows about these plagues, and that was really smart writing to include pathogens that Trekkies would know, right? Because we've
Right.
heard of a Simoleon blood burn before. We've
Yeah.
heard of the Tyrellian plague before.
Yep.
We've heard of all of these things. So when they're sitting there going, okay, we're going to lock this guy in this chamber and kill him with blood burn, and then, oh, we're going to take the Tyrellian plague with us as insurance. You as a viewer are going, oh my god, these people are insane. Like, these people, they're like, what the fuck, right? This was really, I like it, because it was a lot more. I think when people say Enterprise is a bit more gritty, I think this is what they're kind of talking about.
Yeah.
Because
Well, it has to be gritty and more basic because we don't have all the luxuries that we're going to see in the
Yeah.
24th all the way up through whatever the 29th century.
Yeah. Because you see, like, even in the little things, you see Archer walks over and verbally says coffee, right? But you still hear the coffee
Being poured, yeah.
into the cup, right?
It's a vending
cool.
machine that recognizes voice commands. You can do that today. Just bury Siri inside some kind of coffee machine, and there you go. Hey Siri, pour some coffee.
It makes me every time I watch Enterprise.
I'm surprised my phone didn't respond to that.
I know. I was waiting for that. But every time I watch Enterprise and I see them like in a scene getting food or drink, I think it's
Looks like a
because-
vending machine, doesn't it?
Well, and I think it's because I've watched or read too much Hitchhikers. I'm waiting for it to go share and enjoy. Share and enjoy.
That's funny.
Produce something that's almost quite not, or quite almost but not quite unlike tea. So, and then we get to the third episode, and can I just say that I love how Archer is basically the cat comes back. You know that song?
I
The
don't.
cat came back the very next day. It's an old song about a man who has a cat that wouldn't leave him, or that had a stray cat that wouldn't leave him alone, and he tried everything to get rid of it, like locking it in a suitcase and throwing it in the ocean and throwing away the key, and the cat keeps coming back, and this Malik dude keeps doing everything under in his brain power to get rid of Archer, and Archer just keeps coming back. It's like you even get Sung looking at him and going, he sounds pretty confident for a dead man.
Yeah, that's the kind of a thing between Malik and Sung, is that Malik thinks he's so smart, and Sung keeps proving him wrong.
Yeah, and I like that, because you've got Malik thinking that because you can see Malik thinks Sung is weakening, that he is straying from his original resolve, that he's just another inferior human.
Yeah, I don't think
And
Malik realizes the difference between intelligence and wisdom. He doesn't
agreed.
seem to get that.
Agreed. I think, and Sung keeps
And experience.
Yeah. Sung keeps going, look, you may be stronger, faster, and quicker on your feet than I am intellectually, but you are, like, really young, so shut up.
Yeah.
It's still basically you're 18 years old, you don't know shit about shit, pull up your pants.
I'm surprised he doesn't come out and say it somewhere in the dialogue somewhere along the line. Like, how many times do I have to prove you wrong?
Yeah.
It would have been a nice line.
I like that bit of real anger in the third episode when Sung goes, if you disobey my orders one more time, I will throw you in the targ pit for a month.
Yeah,
you will
it
not
made me
see the light of day.
After living with him as Data for so long, to see that kind of response come out of that face, it's kind of like, oh shit,
Yeah.
Noonan's pissed.
Yeah.
Back away from the monitor. I was like, holy crap.
And it was well done too. Like, Brent knew exactly
Wow.
how much anger to put in there.
He's an amazing
He didn't
actor.
chew
He really
the
is.
scenery. He didn't, and I find that's my one problem with Bakula is he overdoes it a little bit, if that makes sense.
There's something weird about what happens when he gets mad. It doesn't seem like he's really mad. It seems like he thrashes about and stomps his feet, but
Yeah.
I don't see the heart in it. I don't see him. You don't believe that the actual actor is angry.
Yeah. Yeah.
For as much as I like him, I was never a fan of anything he's really ever been in. But I think he's a good actor and all, but I just don't see it when he has to go towards the angry side. For me, it just seems like he's a very pacifistic person in real life, and he just can't tap into that. So.
Yeah. The best played anger in an actor is when an actor can, sit there for a second and go, okay, what's something that makes me actually angry? What can I use to help me portray this this scene where I need to be angry?
Right.
Instead of, I'm just going to sound like I'm trying not to cry. Because that's how he sounds. He sounds like he's trying not to cry when he's angry.
Yeah.
And it really takes it away, unfortunately. So what did you guys think of these three parts, or these three episodes? Because I've
solid.
talked a lot.
Well, one would end and would be like, oh shit, I gotta watch the next one. Because I thought, there was going to be something else, and then at the end of that, it's like, well, shit, this is a three-parter, and so I was I was put in a dilemma. So I watched half of each,
And they were good, and like when they
Excellent.
ended, you were like, "Wait, it's been 45 minutes? What?
Yeah.
Wait, what?"
You've heard me say many times on this show that X episode could have been a one-parter.
Yeah.
I have a real hard time with multiple parters. This one couldn't have been anything but a three-parter.
Nope.
There's just too much information here. There's too much of a storyline here to fit in even a two-parter. It really had to be a three-parter.
Agreed.
Well, and Spiner knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
With,
Yep.
You know, with the he did a great job with that. Excellent, fun.
Like I like the where where they're captured and they've found this other guy on Cold Station 12, or not on Cold Station 12, on the planet where the augments were, and his name is Snike. They've called him Snike.
Ungar or something like that is his real name.
Or- yeah.
Right.
But he ended up, he's not as augmented as the others, so they treated him as inferior, especially after Sung left. And there's a neat little scene where they're all captured, and Sung, turns to Malik, and Malik's like, "Oh, that was Rakeen's idea, to shun him or whatever." And he goes, "Yeah, but you all went along with it."
And there was shame on everybody's faces too.
And but Archer goes, "Well, why are you so surprised?
Yeah.
You taught them that they're better, that they're better, so why wouldn't they think that he's not better?" He goes,
Right.
"I don't need a history lesson from you." Well, you need it from someone.
That was good writing.
It was good writing. I like the
That sounded
little-
very natural. That sounded like a natural conversation.
It did. I like the little bits of dialogue that you get in these episodes.
See, Malik's just not observant because already Sun has proved him wrong a couple times, and here's someone proving Sun wrong from the same non-augmented direction. So Malik should be taking notes, saying, "Geez, I really don't know what the hell I'm doing by comparison to these
Malik,
guys."
even at the end of that episode, Malik even says, "You're a competent fighter, but not good enough." He just doesn't get it. He just doesn't get it.
He's so locked in his superiority that he can't get out of it. No matter what happens, no matter how obvious it is that he can in some places not be superior, he just doesn't see it. He can't see it.
And I think this was this was great writing because he mentions that he goes, Khan's mistake was that he ran when he should have stayed and fought. And you're sitting there going, actually, you're repeating Khan's mistake right now. You just don't know it, little boy.
Yep.
And he's such a little, like, he is a little boy, the way that he acts. Like, he's just a stronger, faster, brain fires faster boy. That's all it is. He's just an experienced superhuman.
If he is so superior in every category, then why wasn't his humility also superior?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I agree with that.
We have 9 minutes for observer effect.
Did anybody watch it?
I've like I said, I've seen the entire series 5, 6, 7
Did
times.
you watch it, Irate?
Yeah, I got almost I got a little over halfway through it.
So
it's not a complicated episode.
This one is about an Hoshi and Trip. You said
This is the coronavirus.
It's Corona
space
Chan.
coronavirus.
Ooh, who flew?
Demonetized.
Exactly.
You think so?
Hit up the streamlabs, people.
Yeah, Medicare says.
Woo!
So, Irate gave me a tiny bit of a rundown before you got here, Hammer. It was, I think, Hoshi and Trip game? are infected. They're on this asteroid, and it's basically these aliens that are running experiments on how a
Yeah,
society
that's close.
treats
That's close.
their
What happens
aliens.
is there's a group of aliens who are invisible to everybody, who can kind of watch. They're just energy only kind of people, and they can
Okay.
inhabit members of crews. And what they do is that's how they learn about people. Instead of sending starships out to make contact, first contact, all that kind of stuff, they do this process of taking over bodies and interacting with the crew, and then leaving, and the person who is corrupted for that period of time is not aware of it.
Oh.
And they watch several different scenarios of people in several different places. This isn't just all they do, but they do watch this one moon that has an atmosphere that has some kind of virus or bug that is not carbon based, it's silicon based.
Okay.
So nobody has a tech strong enough to stop it before it kills people.
Right.
And they actually say that. They say, no matter what happens, someone always dies. And they try to point out to the fact that, well, this Klingon didn't die. And the captain says, yeah, he killed the guys before they had a chance to die of the disease.
Yeah.
And that's how they reacted to this. What they want to see is how people react to death,
Right.
Right.
especially a long death where it's viral and it takes time.
Long
They want,
and
they want to,
unavoidable.
and then they can determine whether or not they want to be friends with that species.
Okay.
And their whole thing is that they're supposed to just watch. They're just the observers. They're watchers. If you're a Marvel fan, all they do is just watch what happens. But in this case, one of the two people who are assigned to watching the people on the Enterprise die is younger than the other, and he's had enough of watching people die over and over again. He says maybe the whole fact where we just watch people die is probably the wrong way to do this. Why don't we step in, kind of deal? And the other guy's like, no, our orders are to do this, blah 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 blah. But finally, Archer, they kind of break protocol, and they talk to Archer directly while inhabiting Hoshi and Tucker,
Okay.
and the captain convinces them to not let the people die. Actually, Hoshi does die,
Okay.
but they can still inhabit her even when she's dead. And Tucker, I don't know if Tucker dies, but he's pretty damn close.
Yeah.
And they show themselves. She's dead, and I thought to myself, well, that's because it seems like a very natural thing. I thought, well, that's the end of Hoshi, I guess. I wonder who they're going to put on the show in her place.
Well, nowadays they would have killed her. You're right.
Yeah, I was convinced. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
well, that's the end of her, right? She's not a great actress anyway, so no problem, But
It's kind of like a Cass and Seven situation.
yeah, it's one
Yeah,
of these options where I thought that she was gone, but she ends up, he inhabit her. She sits back up. I'm like, holy shit, she's sitting up. Oh my god, I thought she was dead, and I got drug into the story that well, where I actually thought was, yeah, she's gone off the show, and so yeah, between the two of them, they convinced the third guy, who's kind of like the guy in charge, that this time people don't have to die. So it ends up that everybody, because in an attempt to save Hoshi and an attempt to save Tucker, the captain takes off his helmet too, exposing himself to the virus, and he would have died as well.
Yeah.
So he had a good reason for, besides the fact that his two senior people on his ship are dying or dead, he was going to die too. So yeah, it was and this was like, again, another bottle episode. You never hear of these guys after this. You never know about them before. You never go to this moon again. It's all just in this episode.
I like episodes like that.
Yeah.
I do too, and so do most Star Trek fans, I would say.
Right. Because that's what we were used to.
Yeah.
I mean,
grew up in
the
this
first two
format.
series, man, are pretty much that, right?
Yep.
Each, aside from the two parts or whatever, each one could stand on its own.
Interesting observation. Grillin' Pirate Pete. He says this seems to take elements from the Nth Degree and Where Silence Has Lease. Now, if you guys don't remember which episodes those are, the Nth Degree is where we meet the Cytherians, where Barclay basically
Becomes a super computer.
Yeah. And then where Silence has Lease is in season 2 of TNG, where they they meet Nagilam. Um, the
Yeah,
basically the
I could see
space
that one. I could see
creature. Yeah.
Data Nagilum.
Yeah. That is amazing.
That is a great line. I don't see how the nth degree really hits this though.
Maybe because of the like the aliens that instead of coming out to meet people, they
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't thought about that.
kind of
They
take
explore
over.
the galaxy by having you come to them instead of
Yeah.
them going to you.
Because they
They just
basically rewired Barclay's brain,
Yeah.
and yeah, and then he, after they rewired his brain, he wired himself into the computer.
Yeah, I don't have enough room to be as smart as you guys want me to. I'll just use the Enterprise's computer to expand my brains.
That's
But he
one of
did it for good reasons. He was
He
trying to shut
did.
down the array.
He
So
did, yeah. But I love where he jumps into the holodeck and he's like, computer, create this, and this, and computer's like, there is no specifications on file. No problem.
this is how you
Here's
build
how
it.
you build it.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite Barclay lines ever.
It was great to see Barkley played confidently, where he's always been played as kind of the awkward, I don't know what to do here, kind of non-social person. To have him come out as being this, it's kind of unusual that intelligence suddenly makes you confident, but I guess it does to some extent, and you kind of see
Yeah.
it in that episode.
Yeah, I think Grill and Pirate Pete actually may have been right on that. It
Yeah.
does seem to borrow from it, and I would even say maybe it borrows a little bit from the scientific method episode of Voyager as well,
Right.
where we have the aliens that
Trying to push Janeway over the edge.
yeah, just doing random shit to the crew. Here, let's make Chakotay really old. let's
Yeah.
give Janeway extra dopamine. Let's I think this is and I just like how we have different ways of doing Trek, and this is why I get so angry with Discovery and Picard, because there is so much canon. There is so much canon. Even in the Kelvin universe, you've got like 3 movies. What are you guys doing? Like, seriously, why? Why are you taking all of this canon and wiping your asses with it? I don't understand.
I don't lump Discovery and Picard together though, because Discovery is awful. It's just
Yeah.
god awful, but Picard's actually pretty good.
Picard is frustrating to me because there are really good parts of it, and then there are parts where you go, what?
If you try to put it in the Star Trek universe we're used to seeing, you're going to have those moments. If you say this is something, like a Monty Python line, and now for something completely different.
Yeah.
If you put this in its own place and you say, okay, this is not going to be TNG. This is not going to be DS9. This is going to be its own entity. It's going to show a different perspective on Star Trek, because they could make a lot of this stuff look better, or they could write it to be just like TNG if they wanted to. But because you're in that TNG world and you're used to that TNG world, everything is honky dory, everything's wonderful. We have replicators, shields, we're good shape, don't have to worry about nothing. That's good and great, but in real life, would that really be how things would be in the future? I think Picard is a little bit more human and a little less idealistic.
That is a good point, because I guarantee you that not everybody in the future, well, and we even see it in TNG, not everybody thinks of androids or synthetics, as they're calling them in Picard, the way Picard did, right?
Right.
You even run into a few throwaway characters on TNG that, like, even Bruce Maddox at first would not call Data he. He called him it.
Right.
Or you run into that.
He eventually called him he, but
Yeah, but or you run into that what's his face in the Redemption episode where Data's commanding the Sutherland, and he's
right.
bitching. You don't care about human life.
I'm a millennial. I'm gonna stomp my feet.
Yeah. You run into a couple of characters.
Little shot at millennials there.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and Grilling Pirate Pete says, Annie Trekker made the point that people hate Picard because it is not Trek by being so nihilistic. Or
It's
nihilistic.
not TNG would be my argument.
Yeah.
People hate it because it's not TNG. There's a difference between saying it's not Trek and it's not TNG.
Yeah, but there was this utopian, like,
Right.
underneath, right? And I
Right.
think that's what we're not getting.
But think about that in realistic terms.
Yeah, it's unrealistic.
Have you
as
ever
fuck.
worked in a place where you got along with everybody and no one ever argued?
No.
Come on, that's not realistic. And I understand that they're playing for the simplicity and the utopian perspective, but really, it's something I always kind of thought about with TNG is that nobody ever argues with anybody. I mean, how realistic is that? At least with Picard, there is that tension.
Well, in the TOS, there was tension, with
But even some of it was manufactured, like the whole thing with Kirk being copied. Mind your own business, Spock. I'm tired of your half-breed interference. That's not really how he thought about Spock.
no.
But he
No,
did it
but-
as a way to get a message back that something was wrong.
But Riker and Crusher would not name call each other the way
No.
McCoy and Spock do.
Yeah, but that's
not
a
a thing that
that's
would happen.
McCoy and Spock are like kind of like me and Polly. We insult each other and push and prod each other and give each other shit all the time, but it's not done with malice. And in Picard, you see people who just fucking hate you.
Well, that's the thing is what I don't like is the little nods to the politically correct agenda that are being
Yeah.
shoved into Picard. Like this Raffi chick shits all over Picard because he has the chateau that his dad didn't want him to have because he went to Starfleet, and the only reason he has it is because Renee died in the
His brother
fire.
died.
All perfectly
So
believable, though.
Fuck off, Raffi.
But it's all perfectly believable if you think about even in the TNG thing. Him and Robert did not get together very well.
No.
Now
Oh,
they made
Robert,
up.
that's
They
right,
made they made up a little bit at the end. But when it came right down to it, they never liked each other their entire childhood.
No, they didn't.
So if you think a little bit deeper about this, there is some statute for what they're doing now. And I could see the line where that what she's saying actually makes sense. It's just that TNG would never show that to you.
No.
So yeah, I know.
Or
I watched
or
Cullen.
or the getting high. She's sitting there getting high and drinking,
Yeah.
high and drunk. Yeah.
Something that I think would probably still happen in the future.
Yeah, probably.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
If I got to the 24th century and I found out that there was no marijuana, I would be very upset.
If they replaced all alcohol with synthahol, I'd be like, no.
Yeah, no.
Give me a beer. Give me a Corona.
Really, nobody has any single malt scotch anywhere. That's what I would say.
Absolutely.
I just let that go right. No,
I said
but I'd be
beer.
like,
Dude.
I'd be like, seriously, no one's got any single malt? No one anywhere? Are you serious?
So yeah, I'm definitely on board with the hate for sexually transmitted disease. It's not my show. I don't want to have anything to do with it. But I am, and I understand the whole thing with everybody else hates on Picard more than I think they should. If you ever watch Dave Cullen, Computing Forever,
Yeah.
man, he just rips Picard apart. He just goes after them. But
Yeah.
if you watch other people like Trek Station and other YouTubers, they give a little bit more balanced review, although none of them are really particularly great.
Dovecock is the most entertaining in my
yeah.
opinion.
Yeah. I try to keep my mind open. And so far, it's not written poorly.
It's not. That's why I'm so frustrated with it because it's,
All right, here's my honest opinion. is I think that Stewart's overacting and underacting. It's inconsistent, and I can see it.
You can tell you can see his age. That's the sad
It's almost
part
like
about this.
some of the scenes he just straining to, to just try to emote, right? And I don't know, maybe I'm being a little too hypercritical, but I just don't see Picard getting that black pilled about shit.
I guess.
And I guess in a way he's hopeful because he's gonna try and save Sochi.
What's rough is to see Picard get his ass kicked.
No, we saw him get his ass kicked with the Borg, and he got shot in the heart,
but
and he's been beat up.
Yeah, but he's like, he could at least throw down.
Yeah, but how old is he? This is 20 years later. This guy is 80 years old at this point. He's not the Picard of his youth. So
No, he's not. But he
I
still
think it
shot.
could be-
He still shot a fucking Tal Shiar, so that was pretty cool. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to continue to try to ignore what Cullen's saying, and not that I'm not going to watch his show because I do, but I'm subscribed to him and everything. But I'm going to continue to kind of defend the show a little bit until I see something that really pushes me off the edge.
Oh, I'm still enjoying Irate and I
Like
meet
Spore
up
Drive.
and-
That'll
yeah,
push me right off the edge.
Irate and I meet up in his Discord and we watch it together, and I still enjoy watching it. It's not like I sit there when I watched the introductory 2 episodes of Discovery, and I saw the Klingons using dead bodies as their armor. I was like, no.
Oh my God.
Fuck off.
Yeah.
Klingons don't do that.
Yeah.
Go away.
That came from Firefly. the Reavers from Firefly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where that came from.
I know. It was so fucking. Oh my God. Can we not go there? Oh my God.
You can't take the sky from me.
Let's stick ourselves through the mushroom drive and go all over space because it's awesome. And I love my husband.
The SED is very much reminds me of Birds of Prey, where no woman is flawed and no man is righteous.
Right.
Yeah. That's a good. Yeah, that's a nice distinct statement.
Every once in a while, my English degree comes into play. Anyway,
Well, my friends, we've come to
We're
the
late.
end. We've come to the end of our show, and
Skep has still not shown up. God damn it.
Skep
he couldn't
sent a
make it.
DM.
He sent a tweet out. Yeah,
He sent a DM.
Oh, he did? Oh, well,
he's
my
got
bad.
he's got some family bullshit going on today.
I'm busting his testicles over here. Sorry.
And but Irate said he would like to go next. So
Yes.
it will be Irate's turn next.
And I've already got 2 episodes picked out.
I have a feeling I'm gonna just assume that Skep is gonna want to go last on this one. So
Right.
he might end up having to go last because everyone else is going ahead of him. What you have to do, IP, is make sure that you tell Blind all your picks, but don't tell me your picks until an hour before the show. That would be only fair. It'd be only
No,
fair.
I'm cool with that. All right, these 2, definitely the Andorian incident and Minefield. Both
the
of
guy
those.
who plays the Andorian captain, Blind, you know his
Shran.
name, right? Shran.
Yeah.
You know his name.
Jeffrey Combs.
Oh, you know him too.
Yeah.
What a fantastic actor! I
Oh,
should
God,
make an
yes.
episode with him in it because
Yeah.
man, pink skin.
Yeah, he was, and it was a really cool to see the Andorians like that, right? To where they explore that. Anyway, so, and I love what happens in that episode.
They fleshed out the Andorians because before that, all we see one is as a spy.
yeah.
That's the only time we see an Andorian before that. But this one, they actually, this is what the Andorians are all about.
Yeah.
Oh, and they're not like anybody else. They're not like the Klingons. They're not like the Vulcans. They're their own piece,
Yeah.
which is cool.
Pink skin. We like it. Like it, Shran.
Yeah,
So,
you
I rate-
automatically. I'm sorry, you automatically have my blessing if you're going to bring Shran into any of this because that's
Oh
huge.
yeah,
That was
dude.
great.
I'll watch anything with Jeffrey Combs in it. I swear to God.
He's a great actor.
Yeah, he's
I'm sorry,
awesome.
I keep interrupting BP. I'm sorry.
It's all good. I
You
was
want to
gonna
go?
say,
You're probably hungry,
what's-
right?
Well, yes, I am
I
hungry.
am.
But what's your shillage for tomorrow? All right.
Oh, Miles Beats, the one and
Nice.
only. Yeah, and, coming in succession, Moonshock, the One Ton Hammer, Johnny Hellcat, and Boober Lee. That is
Nice.
March. Yeah, so
That sounds like a good month.
yeah, it is, and hopefully I've got some big ones coming, bigger and bigger. I'm excited.
Moonshock's an awesome guy. That's going to be a good one. You guys should watch that.
Yes.
Shock's great. And tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern, catch the Blind and the Special back here on the Blind Press channel. Pincalo and I will hopefully be able to do a stream. Oh my god, that was frustrating last week. And of course, the coffee stream on Monday. So, with that in mind, thank you all for watching. We hope you enjoyed yourselves, and we will catch you next Saturday for more Star Trek. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.